Welcome to Source BMX. I'm here at Swamp Fest with Matt Ray, an unprecedented combination of technical power. Matt's a former X Games silver medalist, and today we're going to take a look at his Sabrosa build.
Let's do it.
All right, Matt, let's take a look at your signature frame, the MR2. You mentioned to me that bottom bracket height and rear end length are two very important features for you. Explain that for us and what generally went into designing this frame with Sabrosa.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I ride everything. I ride street, I ride park. So it's always been kind of trying to find like that perfect balance in a frame. Because I can't do a super short back end and then go try to hit a big box jump. I feel like I'll loop right out. So we got the 13.3 back end if you fully slam it. And I probably ride like 13.45 because I pull it out a little bit. Then the bottom bracket height on this is actually a prototype MR2. So this will be probably the geometry on the MR3, if that's what we name it.
Okay.
But it used to be 11.8, and we dropped it down to 11.4. Just because like manuals and nose manuals, I like to have my feet a little more planted.
Okay.
I kind of felt like they were too high before. Like if I'm going fast, carving a manual, it almost feel like my legs are like on stilts almost or something.
Okay, so it gives you kind of extra stability.
Yeah, and then even nosies, it feels like my feet are lower when I'm up in a nosy instead of like, I know it's barely anything, but I noticed the difference and I'm pretty happy with it. So I think this will be what we do moving forward on the MR3.
Gotcha. And what about your head tube angle? What kind?
We got 75 on this, pretty basic, just 75. And then this is actually a prototype. I mean, I just mentioned that, but top tube is 21.1.
Okay.
So before it came in 21 and then 21.2. But me just being a freak in my head, I'm like, I need them in the middle. Like sometimes it feels too big.
Yeah, just tweaking it to get it just right.
But then I'll drop down to 21 and I'm like, oh, it feels too small. So I figured, I know it's so small, but like right in the middle, just.
Yeah, this one's too small, this one's too big, this one's just right.
No, this thing feels great though. I'm psyched on it.
You just mentioned you ride the 21.1, which is a pretty unique size. Exactly how tall are you?
I'm 6 feet on the dot.
Okay, 6 foot even?
Yep. So I feel like that's a pretty happy medium size. Not too big, not too small.
All right, Matt, you're running some of Shadow's products from the finest line. You have the finest forks and the finest cranks. Forks in a 25 millimeter offset and the cranks in 160 millimeters.
Yep.
Why do you choose these products and these sizes?
So for the forks, actually, I've always just ran 30 mil. It was just like, that's always what I rode. It felt perfect. Then forks just slowly got steeper and steeper and steeper. And it was kind of one of those things I was like, I could try steeper because they made these in 25 and then 32. And 32, I was like, it's kind of going
way too mellow.
Yeah, so I tried the 25 and I really liked it. Just jumping into nose manuals, just like, I think you lock in even quicker. And then I didn't really notice much of a difference for like how responsive it is, but it kind of just feels regular. You get used to it.
But like you said, for your balance of all-around riding, but also very technical nose wheelie type tricks, seems like that perfect happy medium.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. It works well. I've always ridden 30, so I think it just made nosies like the littlest bit easier.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, get a little steeper. And then the cranks, I've always ridden like 165, 170s, and then I put it on a fourth peg for a little bit. That didn't last too long, but just the back of my heel on my back foot, I hated it hitting the peg. So I was like, well, if my cranks are shorter, and two, I have this thing in my head, if my feet are like this, how high can I hop? Compared to if they're like this, I can probably hop higher.
Okay.
So in my head, if my feet are a little closer, I can just get like that, a little bit more pop.
Okay.
Maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't.
No,
it
makes
like,
sense, yeah.
If you believe it, it works type of thing. But yeah.
All right, so the shorter cranks make you hop higher.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, I believe it. I believe you. All right, Matt, you have your own signature bars, the Sabrosa Ray bars. These come in a variety of sizes. Why are they available in so many different sizes, and which ones do you personally run?
I think the size is just because so many people like ride a front load or a top load. So some people like them smaller. Some people ride really tall bars, which I try to find like that happy medium. I used to always ride 8.75, which it just got to be too short. So now I'm actually running 9.25. I was on 9-inch rise for a while, but just since I have the front load, it felt like it was just a little too low.
Okay.
But then also, I don't like the look of a huge bar in the front, so I figured 9.25 I would try it, and I think it looks clean, it feels perfect, and these come 29 wide, and I don't cut them, so it just feels like a pretty good bar. It's pretty straightforward too, and then we did the little Ray-Ban logo, trying to like mock like Ray-Ban, but the Ray bars. So
Matt Ray-Ban.
Yeah,
all right.
The Ray bars. But yeah, I like them. They're clean, just simple. I like this little Sabrosa badge on there too.
Yeah, that's sick. Like welded on there. Yeah, that's dope.
But yeah.
And what about, so let's talk about the stem. Like you mentioned, you're running a front load stem. Seems like it's getting more mixed up in what people are choosing again. A lot of front loads, a lot of top loads.
Yeah.
Yeah, what front load we got here?
We got the Shadow VVS.
Okay.
So we did like a whole little VVS line. Like we have this and the sprocket is Shadow VVS.
Okay.
And it was kind of a joke at first, like, oh, what's like the finest cut diamond? It's like the rappers, like, I got the VVS chain, I got the VVS diamond. So we're like, well, if we're making some nice parts, we may as well the VVS line. And like, my dog's name is Vivi, so it's kind of like, it just works.
So it's like the diamond of bike parts.
Yeah, just like jokingly, but yeah, it is.
No, own it, own it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Like, these are the best.
It is. Well,
the best cut
everyone
diamonds
knows
in the
that,
business.
so it's like. But then we did a little signature colorway on a different one, and I just swapped the front cap over to it. Thought it looked cool. We did like that red camo.
Okay.
Then I went back to black, and I just thought, let's put the front piece on. It looks cool. Yeah.
And what about the sprocket? What you also mentioned the sprocket. I know these things are also like fairly affordable for a high-end sprocket, you know, which is pretty cool.
Even the stem's pretty cheap in comparison to most stems, I would say. And then, I got a 28 tooth on here, just VVS. Usually whatever colors the Shadow drops, they'll do the signature parts in those colors too.
Okay.
So I think we're coming out with like a gold, bronze pretty soon, like a pretty cool purple. But yeah, it looks cool too. Like, it's not an exact circle, like the design on it, so it kind of trips people out. It makes the sprocket look like it's squared, but just something that's funny.
It's pretty cool, like an optical illusion kind of.
Yeah. Then we got the diamond cutouts in it, so just something clean, something simple.
All right, Matt. So a product I personally trust, the Shadow Supreme chain. Obviously, high-end, creme of the creme. A little bit more expensive than your average chain, but definitely seems worth the extra cash, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you can see on my bike, it's funny, I probably should be riding a nice chain, but I've swapped this chain probably for the last 3 years, just from bike to bike.
Wow.
Even pieced it together. Like, this is definitely the oldest section. I'll spin it so they can see. But I've probably had that for like 4 years or so now. And it's just one of those things, I'm like, if I ride the chain, I should test it. Like, I should just keep running it to see how long it lasts, and it is the best chain.
So you've had the same chain for 3 or 4 years?
That section, yeah. The other chrome section, probably 2, 2.5 years.
But still, that says a lot right there.
And too, when you put it on a new chain, it has like all the grease kind of all over, like the lube on it. I hate getting it on my pants and stuff, so I'm like, every time I build up a new bike, I'm like, no, just swap this one over. It's easy enough.
Hey, yeah. But yeah, I think that's proof's in the pudding. Like, you spend the extra cash, it's gonna last a long time.
The guys at Shadow give me shit sometimes, like, dude, you gotta put a fresh one on. But I'm like, no, people gotta see it last, and they're
I think that says more. I think that says more. And I mean, you're not even running a sprocket guard, and you still last that long.
Yeah, I know. I crash the thing all the time, bang it up, but it just does the job. It holds up. You see some nicks in it here and there, but like I said, it's lasted, so
amazing.
It's worth it. Yeah.
All right, Matt, let's talk about your seat. You've got your signature Sabrosa designer seat. This thing also seems to play off of your signature helmet, kind of with the same theme. So break down this pattern, this stripe, and everything behind it.
Yeah, for sure. So Ryan at Sabrosa, he kind of was like, all right, we gotta start planning your next seat. And we had one seat that we were pretty psyched on, but we knew like, all right, we gotta switch it up and do something cool. I was like, dude, what if we make like a designer seat for, say, like, people have their designer shoes, their designer sweatshirts, like, especially in skating and other sports. So we were kind of like, what if we made a seat that's kind of like something like a designer piece that you get to put on your bike with humor, not like taking it that serious. But I was like, let's do the Gucci seat with a Gucci stripe across it. Just joking, like completely joking. And like 2 weeks later, they sent me an email like, hey, what do you think of this? And they just sent me this drawing, and then we ended up adding the MR. So like the Gucci, it's like the two G's kind of flipped upside down facing each other. So we did that with the MR and the SB for Sabrosa, and then obviously my initials. Then we did the Gucci stripe right across. We had a few different ways we tried it, but we just thought that looked the cleanest, and it's honestly pretty durable. It holds up too, and sometimes seats are like so slick. Like I feel like when you sit down or hang five, the seat itself is like, you don't grip on it. And this thing, that was the one, I was like, I want it to be fairly grippy. So like when you're sitting, you don't just slide off it. But yeah, it's lasted. It seems like people are a pretty big fan of it.
Yeah, that's interesting. We don't hear about that much, like the actual material and how it feels.
Yeah.
But like, what about the size and the post height? How important are those aspects to you?
So I was always like a huge fan of like Dennis Henderson, and like when he used to have the demolition seat that had the D on the side, the size of that seat, like a while back I rode that when I was just like trying all different parts as a kid. And the way that seat felt, like for hang fives especially, like I was always just like, that is the perfect size seat. And it seemed like it was kind of like the stock size for seats anyways. So I did mention that when we were designing this. And I think it was just kind of like, there's a one size fits all for pivotal seats right now, or for like the mid-size. Obviously there's slim and then fatter ones, but I think it's just kind of right in the middle. Like, nothing too specific really.
All right, Matt, let's talk about your wheels. You've got the definitive hub in the rear, 120 points of engagement. You've got tie spokes on this thing somewhere.
Yeah,
and you've got the truss rims. So break down all these features for us.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, we'll start with the rear wheel. I'm always like jumping from cassette to free coaster.
Okay.
And it's like, I have 2 wheels and I just swap back and forth, but I'll ride this wheel, like this one's maybe on its way out. I ride a wheel for probably like 2-3 months, like cassette, and once it just gets so beat up and unfixable, I drop it off to my buddy Johnny, and he already fixed the free coaster, so then the free coaster's on for like 2 or 3 months. Once that thing kind of gets out of true and banged up, it's back to the cassette. But the instant engagement, I really like this thing, like for fakie manuals and even just cranking at a spot, like it's so responsive and it sounds awesome. It's been cool. I wasn't sure about it at first because like I've just ridden their normal cassette for so long, and that has a little bit of slack, like when you're doing fakie manuals and stuff, and like this from the get, I was like, this is the hub. Like, I love this thing.
Yeah, just kind of like that instant engagement, huh?
Yeah, it's cool. It just feels like, especially going from a free coaster to a cassette, like it's just so responsive. And then a free coaster, there's nothing. So it's like, it's cool. It's just complete opposite. I always kind of say like, free coaster is driving a car in like automatic, and then a cassette like this one is like driving like a standard. It's like you're in control of like, you can catch the gear as soon as you need it to. It's like.
So like moving back and forth between a cassette and a free coaster, that's just like fun for you to experiment both ways, or is there specific types of riding you like to have one or the other for?
Nothing too like specific, but I think it just keeps it fun.
Okay.
Like I love doing tech stuff with a cassette, like doing fakie manuals and linking stuff together, and then I'll kind of start watching some Garrett Dennis videos, and I'm like, all right, time for the free coaster, and like same thing with that. Like there's just so many possibilities with both, and it just keeps riding refreshing. If I'm riding with my dudes who like riding big bowls and skate parks, like I'm pumping my tires up, I'm gonna rip the bowls, but if I'm out with the street dudes, like I'll go ride street and put a 4th peg on, and jib around. It's
doing it all.
It's just fun, yeah.
And what about the tie spokes and the truss rims? Kind of keeps the rotational weight down?
I've always ridden the truss rims, and just I'm a big fan. They seem to hold up well, and they look cool, just simple, double wall design. And then the tie spokes, it was kind of like I had the option because Shadow started making tie spokes, and I was like, can I get some tie spokes? Because I know they're expensive, and they're like, yeah, let's do it. And they've lasted so long. I've actually swapped them from my old wheels to these. We just took them right out, replaced a couple.
Yeah, why not save that extra weight if you can?
I think if you just keep your wheels trued and tensioned, which I'm the worst at, but like I try to stay on top of it, they last a while. Like even riding street, grinding ledges, they hold up fine. Like, I was real worried about that. Like if I do like a 3 to Smith and bash the spokes, like are they gonna blow into pieces? But
no.
They've been good.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, you've got the Shadow SOD pegs. They've got the steel inserts. You've only got 3 pegs, which is something you've mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
What size are you running, and why do you run the 3 peg setup?
I run 3 just because the 4th peg I can only do so much with it. Like I like to switch feels, god damn. Like switch ice picks and stuff, but I don't know, I kind of just don't use it as much as it gets in the way more than anything for me. I like the look of 4 pegs. I feel like it completes the bike.
Yeah.
But I just like 3 pegs, and it's kind of like
more practical for you.
Yeah, it just works and it's clean. But yeah, I run the steel inserts because they have aluminum too to save weight. But I just kind of get freaked out. I picture like jumping into like a big grind or something. Like I know aluminum's strong too, but steel is just, you have more faith in it. Then yeah, with the plastic sleeves, it's funny too. We have back home Nashua skate park. It's like a newer one. It's like 10 minutes up the street from my house. There's signs there that say like no pegs, this and that, and like a cop has came there, and I had to break it down to the cop because he was trying to tell me I can't ride, and I was like, dude, my bike is rubber tires, plastic bar ends, plastic pedals, and anything I'm grinding is all plastic. I was like, skateboards is metal and wood that are grinding stuff, and he like looked at it, and I was like showing him like, look, all plastic, no metal touches anything, and he was cool with it. He's like, honestly, that's awesome you guys do that. And it made me realize, I was like, dude, I really like, it's a pretty safe bike to ride a new skate park with, but.
So what about the pedals? We didn't talk about the pedals. Let's jump into those.
Yeah, it's just the Shadow plastic slim pedals. I've ridden them for as long as I can remember, and they're good. Sick. They last forever. They're grippy.
Super slim profile. Like,
yeah, really. I love that. Just a nice, good base though too. Like it covers like a good amount of your shoe.
Yeah.
They last a while. The pins are pretty good. So I don't do a lot of like pedal grinds or anything, but for me, they're good. I started messing with crank arms a little more, and I'd say they're still pretty good. So yeah, I'm psyched on them.
All right, so let's wrap this up with your rubber. You've got your own signature designer tires.
Yeah.
And what grips do we got on here?
So we got the Shadow VVS grips.
Okay.
These are my signature, and just did a simple design, kind of like medium flange, because I always just pictured when I used to ride brakes, I liked having somewhat of a flange right before the lever.
Okay.
And I used to actually ride the Duo Corey Martinez grips.
All right.
And they had a small flange, and like, if you look at those to these, like you can see how they're inspired by those grips. Like, there's my favorite growing up. So we did that look, and we got the simple little diamond on there too to keep the VVS look going.
All right.
But yeah, pretty simple. They're soft. And then for the tires, we got 2.4 folding tires.
Lightweight, again, keeping that rotational weight down.
Yeah, I love the light. Anything I can save weight on, I'm not like a weight junkie or nothing, but if I can save the weight, why not? And the one thing I did notice having the folding tires, like, you got to run a little bit more PSI, just because like the sidewalls are so thin. Like I'd be riding skate parks and I'd be like going around the corner. I'm like, I got to pump these things up a little bit. So I think I run like 60, 65 of my tires, like pretty much all over. And then if I am like riding trails or something, I'll pump them up to like 75, 80. But for street and park, I'm usually like 60, 65.
Yeah, so it seems like a pretty good all-around rider type of pressure there. Yeah.
Nowadays, it seems like it's like crazy PSI, especially for like street.
Yeah, for street, it seems like it's gotten really low. But
even like Simone's bike, we just did that trip in Miami. I'd be riding his bike, and I swear if I just bunny hop and slam, like I'm hitting rim. But it works for his riding. Like, it's just like he's so like eloquent. I don't know. It works for him, not for me.
Matt, thanks for sharing your bike with everyone out there today. Make sure to check out the Source Bike Builder. There you can get specs, pricing, and availability on everything Matt is riding. SourceBMX.com.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me.